2, 1.
Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
Matt, so I'm a little embarrassed about the guest we have on today's show because this is something that, honestly, we should have been offering our clients for a long, long time. And
You're embarrassed that you haven't been offering this?
I didn't even know this existed. And I would argue most agents don't know that this exists. Because most of the time there's certain inspections we get when we perform, when we're buying a house and we're leading our clients through that, or even pre-inspections before we put the home on the market. But today's guest, I did not even know existed until maybe 3 weeks ago. And so today on the show, we have Erin Clark with Rockland Solar Repair. Thanks for being on the show, Erin.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. And so what is it you do?
Yes,
because I'm super embarrassed. I did not know that you even existed.
What's all in the name? Rockland Solar Repair. I would assume you repair solar panels.
You'd think, no? But there's more to them. There's more.
Yeah, it started as that. So yeah, my name's Erin Clark. I'm the owner of Rockland Solar Repair. Been doing this 20 years. Started in the solar industry in 2005, and I'm a licensed general contractor, licensed solar contractor, and the company started as a repair company. But I saw this void in the industry, in the real estate industry, for getting inspections done on solar systems. And now I'm mostly solar inspections. I specifically specialize working with realtors during real estate transactions.
Wow. And so why did you see this void? Why did you this void is I'm surprised there's not 1,000 people out here doing this because there are so many houses with solar on them. And why are more people I don't know what the solar output is on my property. I don't even know how to check it. But you are what area? Let's do this. What area do you cover? Are you super specific to Rockland, or do you cover a wider area than that?
I cover a pretty wide territory. I was in Placerville yesterday. Okay. Heading out to Auburn later today, and I was in Vacaville 2 weeks ago. So it's a pretty big territory.
Okay.
But there's a lot of confusion around solar, and I think that's why people don't know where to start. Yep. A lot of agents don't know where to start. Homeowners who own systems don't know how well their systems are doing. And so there's this mystery, and there's clearly a need for somebody to help sort of shepherd these buyers and sellers through the process.
Absolutely. So when you say there's mystery, or you say shepherd them through the process, can you give us an example of something? I think you were telling me about somebody bought a house with solar installed. They thought it was working, and it wasn't.
I get that. Almost every home, not quite, and so
completely not working, or something of a piece of it not working.
It's all of it in between. I've been to homes, and I'm there to do the inspection, and the system's been off for 3 years.
Off for 3 years.
Off, not working for 3 years. So I had a homeowner who moved in. They hadn't lived in that home before, so they didn't know exactly what to expect as far as how much the utility bill would be. Yeah. So when the bills were coming in at $500 a month, they thought, gosh, it probably would have been $900. Thank goodness I have solar.
Oh, man. Little did they know.
It had never been working the entire time they had lived there.
Crazy.
So how are you able to go in and determine how long the system hasn't been working?
So I'm certified in almost every solar inverter. So I'm an authorized and certified tech for most of it. So I'm going to actually dig in. I'm going to pull the data out of the inverter to the day it was installed and see, is it actually meeting its estimated production? And I assign a percentage on the inspection report. Hey, it might be 10 years old, but it's been doing great. It's produced exactly what it should have at year 10. Mm-hmm. And so I'll put a rating. Hey, it's about 100% of where it should be. Yesterday's inspection, it's only a year old, and it's only at about 70%. It is absolutely not performing as it should have.
Wow. So what would cause that?
So usually it's a panel or two or three or more that aren't working. And a couple of times I've seen where they just didn't hook them up on the roof. They're up there, then they weren't hooked up.
You're kidding.
Or they've already failed. Or the homeowner was told, hey, it's going to produce X amount, and you're going to save $400 a month, and half the panels were installed on the north roof. And so it's not producing anywhere near what it should. And so that's within in the report. So there's three main things that you're covering in a solar inspection. Number one, how well was it installed? And I find 8 out of 10 systems have minor to major issues.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. It's not 1 out of 10. 8 out of 10 have some issue. So number one is how well is it installed? Number two, is it actually working as it should? And a lot of times, solar, once you look at the phone app for the first month or two, it kind of like the romance sort of falls away with that.
Yeah.
And because it does the same thing every day.
Right.
And so what happens a lot of times, a system will have an error happen. It'll stop producing for some reason, and the homeowner doesn't know because they haven't been checking the app. And so I'll run into that. So second part is how well is it producing, and I'll tell them exactly that. And third, which when I started this company, I didn't think I'd be spending as much time here. Little did I know this is where I spend a bulk of the time, helping buyers get educated on what they bought and get the system transferred into their name. This is what happens if you're not hiring a solar inspector. You buy the house, you move in, and then the homeowner spends 6-7 hours at night Googling, what did I buy?
Right.
How do I, what phone app? There's 20 phone apps.
Yeah.
How do I get the account into my name? Does it have a warranty? How do I transfer the warranty into my name? So rather than have your buyer spend 6-7 hours Googling, walking out in the garage, looking at the equipment, trying to guess at what they have, all of that is documented in the report. So let them move in and do all the fun stuff as a new homeowner. I'll get them teed up for success on the solar side.
That's just crazy to me. So when you talk about quality, like what is it, quality of the install, what exactly do you typically find that was installed incorrectly? Because I would think that would be a no-brainer. Like you bolt the panels down, you hook them up to an inverter, you're done.
So here's where I see most of the issues is on the roof, and I'll tell you why. Building inspectors typically don't get on roofs. So this is not a knock on building inspectors. Some roofs are steep and dangerous and tile roofs. And so I've run into building inspectors who, they care. They want to do a good job inspecting, but they don't get on tile roofs. Tile roofs can break. And so solar crews, I'm not saying are malicious. They know they can cut corners on the roof because nobody is checking. So you can have a system that was approved, stamped by the building department, approved, and now the system's good to go. And I find this almost every home, solar panels not bolted down. It's a 50-pound piece of glass and metal on the roof, and it's sitting up there not bolted. I've even seen jobs where they brought the bolts up, and they're sitting on the roof right next to the solar panel.
They were close.
They got them up there, and they just left them in a pile. And I see that almost every home.
So when you go up there, you're like lifting the solar panels to make sure they're properly bolted down?
Correct.
Okay, so you check all of them, and then what else do you check in terms of quality?
And again, another thing that I'll end up finding on the roof is poorly sealed junction boxes. So where the wires are making the connections, they didn't waterproof it, and now water's sitting in a junction box on the roof. I mean, this is electricity. Solar is one of the most dangerous construction jobs. You're on a roof playing with electricity. And so now you've got this junction box on the roof where these connections are made, and they didn't waterproof it, and it's filled with water, and the system shorts out. So just some sloppy or shortcuts on the roof. That's where I see a lot of the issues. And then the other time I see a lot of issues is the inverter just failed. The inverter is 5 or 6 years old and had a problem and failed, and nobody knew and just kept moving along, and the bills got high, and systems get transferred. If you don't get a solar inspection, you're just transferring that broken system into your name. Yeah. So it could be anywhere on the from the roof to the ground where I'm going to find problems.
Got it. That's typically where we have found issues as real estate agents is with the inverter.
Yeah.
Like that's the more common one. But I just can't believe that people are not bolting these things down.
Oh, it's one of the easiest things to miss because you might have 40, 50 bolts on the roof that you've got to, these clamps to hold panels down that they'll miss. And here's another one that I've run into. Oh, Erin, gosh, I don't think I need an inspection. I was in the garage and the green light on the inverter is green, so it's good to go, right?
Yeah.
Well, there are inverters that if the light is flashing green, that means it's not working.
Oh my
gosh. So green doesn't necessarily mean good.
That's what it's like on my TV remote. If it's blinking green, I need to change the batteries.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, so there's a couple inverter comes down like, really, why wouldn't you make the light red? The flashing green is not
More
good.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've run across solar systems that aren't working or that not working to their capacity. But sometimes it's not even, and this is what I think is great about your company, is it's not necessarily the mechanics of what's going on, but it's also like in the paperwork. Because you review lease stocks, right?
I do. So a good portion of systems are leased. And that's where I find another sort of roadblock or stumbling block or hurdle is, okay, is this even a good lease? Should I assume the lease? How many years are left on it? What was the escalator? Escalators increasing lease payment every month. Mm-hmm. And so when I first started inspecting a few years ago, I've been in the solar industry for 20 years, but I've been specifically focused on real estate inspections for the last couple of years. I didn't realize how much lease document review is going to be happening. And by the way, I'm not an attorney. I'm a really good solar inspector.
Throw that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney. But what I do is I see lease documents 2-3 times a day. And so I'm pretty good at helping evaluate how much you're going to save, and is this something that you even should get transferred? Because if there's 15 years left and it was priced badly to begin with, I'll give you an example. Okay, if you want to go lease a car, and you lease a Toyota Corolla. I've owned a Toyota Corolla, by the way, great car. And the lease payment's $300 a month. Okay, great. I'm going to get a new Toyota Corolla. It's $300 a month. Well, would you want to lease that same Toyota Corolla at $1,300 a month? No. Probably not. Same with the solar system. Leasing's not bad if it's priced properly. And so I'm going to help and look at it because I've got so many comparables to say, yeah, this is a really good lease. It's competitive. You're going to save a lot of money. Or, ooh, boy, it's really high. It's only slightly below what you'd be paying the utility anyway.
Okay.
Plus, it's got an escalator. The payment's going to increase at 3% a year. So those are things that I can help the realtor and then the buyer sort of navigate during that process.
And you mentioned also sometimes in those lease documents, it says one system was installed, and that is not what is on the roof, right? Like you can verify the number of panels and things like that.
Yeah, so this happens more often than you would think, and I was hoping. And again, I don't think it's any maliciousness on anyone's part. Yesterday, this just happened yesterday. I was at an inspection, and the lease documents said there were 27 panels. Well, there's 24 installed on the roof.
Crazy.
So here's what my assumption happened. During the sales process, they were looking at a couple of different sizes. Hey, your lease payment's going to be this. If we put 27 on, their lease payment's going to be this. So somehow there was confusion. The homeowner signed the one for the higher payment with more panels. That's not what was installed. So this homeowner who's now selling her home has been paying a higher payment. Well, no buyer is going to want to assume this lease. They're not going to say, oh, great, they installed the less equipment, a smaller system, but no problem. I'm going to sign up for that 18 years left on this payment for the wrong price. So now this sale is going to be delayed by 30 days at least. You're going to have to call the leasing company. They're going to have to verify that it's wrong. I mean, my report does that. So it's all photo documented with videos. So they're going to send my report on to the leasing company. Now the leasing company's got to go back and say, uh-oh, who messed up where? How do we resolve this? This isn't getting fixed next week. Yeah. And it's already pending. This home is already pending.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about specifically how to avoid these types of issues, because the last thing you want is to have a buyer that's interested, motivated, ready to purchase your home, and then have this delayed out 30 plus days.
So we're finding that a lot of folks love this idea where if you're not quite ready to put your home on the market, but you're thinking about it, you're considering it, maybe sometime this year or in the next 12 months, reach out to Johnny Jennings. That's what a lot of people are doing, and his team at Made for More Realty. They come over to your house, you schedule an appointment, and they give your home a once-over. They check the exterior, the roof, the backyard, the decks, the pool, the interior, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the living room, the bedrooms, and they give you an honest report of what they feel your home is worth without repairs, and some ideas, some suggestions of which repairs you might want to consider getting done before you finally decide to put your home on the market. This is a free of charge service. You just reach out to them, schedule an appointment, and they'll take some time to come out to your house and just give you some good information that you're going to find very beneficial, so you're in the know, no surprises when it comes to selling your home. That's what makes them the best in our area, why they were voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years, why they have almost 1,000 5-star Google reviews. That's Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty. All you got to do is Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So we are back in the studio with Rockland Solar Repair and its founder, Erin Clark, and we are discussing I think it's criminal what happens when somebody buys solar and then the next 5, 10, 30 years, because nobody knows how to maintain these systems. Nobody knows to even inspect them, and then you end up selling the house, and then the buyer comes along and they think they're getting something. But that's why you need to call Erin with Rockland Solar Repair, because you inspect these properties and you let them know exactly what they're purchasing. But a quick question for you, Erin, like why is this not part of the home inspection? Like why is this not included in the generic, So normally when we have clients, it's home, pest, and roof. Those are typically the 3 that we see. There's more coming out like lateral sewer. You might have a pool. You might have well.
Sure.
You might have septic. But typically home, pest, and roof are the big 3. Why is solar not included in that trio?
That's exactly why I created this business. There was a need. There was an absolute need for a specialist, somebody who's got a deep experience in the solar industry.
Okay.
And so I've run into a couple of home inspectors that try and do a superficial inspection, and they've admitted, look, I'm not doing a deep dive on it. I'm just doing a pretty superficial check.
What does that superficial check typically look like?
They're mostly checking the items on the roof to see if they're bolted down and if there's a panel that's got broken glass. I mean, anybody can look and see if the glass is broken.
Sure.
There's only one function of a solar system, and that's to save you money.
Yep.
And that's where I'm spending a lot of my time. I'm going to find the stuff on the roof. That's not hard. Pulling the data out of the inverter and making sure it's actually performing as intended is one of the most critical portions of a solar inspection. And if you don't know how to analyze the data, if you're not a certified tech and you don't have the phone app to pull that data out, superficial solar inspection isn't going to do a whole lot for you.
So do you have to connect with the utility companies to do that? Can you do that just on site? You have the ability to access that information, especially those homes that have some kind of a lease of the solar panels where they may not own them themselves. You're able to go in there and gather all that information without connecting with the different utilities or whoever's managing those solar panels?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yes, in my inspection, I'm publishing the report the same day. So I'm going to be at the home. At the site. I'm going to pull that data out because I've got an installer app. So I can go in sort of behind the curtains and see what it's been doing. And then I'm going to calculate all that at the site and publish that report that day. So you will know as a homeowner, hey, the system could be 1 year old or 15 years old. And is it performing as it should? And I'll tell you that right then and there.
Do you also inspect those batteries that people are starting to put into their garages or someplace in their home that stores the energy?
Yeah, that's a lot of battery systems are now being installed because the utilities don't love solar. They're losing their ratepayers. They're losing their revenue stream. And so utilities keep changing the rules on how much they'll pay you for your solar power.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay you anything.
Net energy metering 2.0.
Net energy metering. So we're on 3.0.
We're on 3.0.
We're on 3.0. So, look, if it's SMUD, that's one. SMUD's got their own rules. Roseville Electric has their own rules. PG&E has their own rules. All of them don't want to pay you for that power because they just lost a customer. And so you're seeing a lot of battery systems installed. So people then say, forget it. If you're not going to pay me anything for this power, I'm just going to store it then. I'm going to store it on site and use it at night when my solar system's not working. Mm-hmm. And so, yesterday I ran into a battery system. I probably run into a battery system maybe once a week now, and then by next year, I bet you it's going to be 3-4 times a week.
I believe it too.
Yeah.
Yep. And so one of the things that we do as real estate agents with the Made for More team is we ask the homeowner, if we're representing the seller, hey, what is the output of the system? And so they'll look it up in their paperwork. They're not pulling it through the inverter, but they'll provide the paperwork. Hey, this was the size system that was installed, and then we just do some back of the napkin math and come up with an estimation on what that solar system is providing them in terms of savings. So then that way we can market the property and say, hey, you know what, this house will provide you, it has a solar system, could save you up to $500 a month on average in utility cost savings. Are you able to do that for them as well when you're providing the inspection, or is that something you do?
Absolutely. So in the report, and it's a math equation.
Yeah.
It's actually very easy to do. I will pull the historical data because that's going to tell me what you're actually going to save.
Mm-hmm.
So what the paperwork said is one thing when you bought the solar system. I'm actually seeing real world what it's done.
Yeah.
And then on the report, I'm going to tell you exactly, hey, you're going to save $275 a month, $600 a month, whatever it happens to be is right in the report based on real world data.
That's huge. That's worth the report right there, just so that people have that information on what it's doing, because also on what's been installed. Because they may, like your previous example, they may have said they may be paying for 27 panels, but they only had 24 installed. So that's gonna drastically impact the output of that system. So if somebody wanted to hire you, what are they gonna pay in terms of this inspection? What can they
is this a
expect in
service?
cost?
Is this an ongoing service that you come out a couple of times a year, or maybe once a year, or is this a one-time thing?
Yeah, solar inspection is $299. If it's a really big system, it could be a little bit more, but it's on average around $299 for a solar inspection, and
Okay.
well worth it. Well worth it. I mean, just the 6 hours of savings of your life on the internet trying to figure out what equipment you have,
Yeah.
and Googling that, trying to get the phone app, I'm going to save them a bunch of time there. And as far as ongoing maintenance, solar systems don't have any moving parts. And so here's what I recommend to my clients. I have them typically, you get your solar panels cleaned. And I recommend that, look, late spring, you really want your system clean before summer starts. I mean, that's
Okay.
the best production time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell them, hey, we'll come out and clean your system in late spring. We're going to put our eyes on it then. Because if you can tie it into another service, it's not 2 trips to the home. So look, we'll come out and clean the system, and then we'll do a quick inspection while we're there. That's the best way, I think, to annually look at the system, is have it tied into a cleaning.
I love that. And so you guys provide that service as well?
We do.
Okay, great. And so let's say you've inspected the system, things are broken, things are wrong. Are you able to, because I don't even know who I would call to do repairs on a solar system, because sometimes those solar companies are difficult. Most of the time, those solar companies are difficult to work with. Are you able to perform the repairs? What does that look like?
Yeah, I'm a licensed general contractor and solar contractor. And again, like I said, I've been doing this 20 years. So we can perform the repairs. And a good portion of those, I get hired after I do an inspection. But if your contractor's in business still, who put the solar system on, great, go to them. They need to honor that warranty. They put the system in. They need to come back and fix those things that were done wrong at the time of installation. And so it's primarily, let's go see if there's still a warranty.
So you'll help them with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's worth the $300 right there. That's huge. That's huge. So all right. So let's walk through the process. We said that you come out, you inspect the property, but sometimes things are wrong, and that can actually delay closings, cause problems. So similar to any other inspection, we recommend have you out as soon as that person's deciding to list the house, before it goes on the market. So we recently had a gal out, or we're working with, her house actually just went on the market today. And she's been working to get that home ready to list for months. And one of the things that was wrong with the property is it had some roof issues. It was going to cost her, it was about $20,000. We found an alternative that was going to save her $17,000. And so now she's able to provide this home with this roof warranty that's good for 5 years. So her house is going to stand out now from the crowd because she did the work up front. Same thing is what we would recommend for you. If you're looking to have, if you have a solar system on the property, call Erin and have him come out and do a pre-inspection so you know exactly what you have, so you can then market that to your potential clients. It's the same process, right? It's $299 for a pre-inspection. It's the same exact inspection?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And then we're able now to provide that to prospective buyers. Your agent is able to provide that to people who are looking at the home. They're going to know exactly what they're buying, the quality of the system they're buying, and how much money they're going to save every single month versus how many houses out there are providing that information up front that have solar. I don't run across any. And so now your home is standing out from the crowd. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Erin?
Yeah, there's a few different ways. We're doing a radio show right now, so I've got a QR code that I usually put on the back of my cards for realtors, and they'll scan that. So you can book yourself. You can go on my website and book. You can call me. You can scan that QR code and just go schedule the system yourself. Here's what I'll say. Realtors, I have a very good relationship with all the realtors that I work with, and they usually want to get a quick rundown of the solar system, and they'll want to chat about some upcoming. So honestly, 80% of the time, realtors just call my cell phone. Erin, hey, here's the address. I'm texting you the details. Get it booked. And then they want to chat about the last one I did.
How long does it take you typically to get out there?
I can typically get out to the home usually within a week.
Within a week? Okay,
Yeah.
great. And you have an easy website, rocklandsolarrepair.com.
rocklandsolarrepair.com, and you can go right there and book it, or my phone number's on there, and you can just give me a call and we'll chat about the process.
rocklandsolarrepair.com. Or if you're listening to this, or you're like, hey, I listened to this a couple years ago, what was that website? You can't find it. Just go to Made for More Realty and we'll get you connected with Erin. All right, Erin, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, I had a great time. Thank you so much.
A quick reminder and then back to the show. If you want at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition, just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home. At least 3 guaranteed cash offers in as-is condition. Do it today.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So that was a great segment with Erin Clark with Rockland Solar Repair. That just blows my mind that more people are not jumping into the solar inspection industry.
Find a need, fill a need. He figured out that absolutely, if you're going to buy a home, and more homes are now coming equipped with solar with an already existing contract, and the home inspector's not looking these things over, you need someone who's trained, who knows about solar panels, who can check and see if it's being efficient, if it's supposed to be doing what it's supposed to be doing.
What you paid for.
What's that? Yeah,
doing
exactly.
what you were paying for. Yeah, I didn't even know you could go into the inverter and go back and look since the day it was installed at the production history.
You have homeowners who thought that, hey, we're paying $500 a month. Man, good thing we got those solar panels.
Oh, I love that.
Who knows how much it would be?
Because we don't have solar on the house right now, but on the previous house there was solar, and I remember thinking, oh man, what if we didn't have solar? How bad would that be? But who knows? Maybe
it
we
wasn't
didn't.
working.
Maybe it
You
wasn't
should've
even
called
working.
Erin.
But that's the thing. That's the thing about home ownership. And I want to talk on that briefly, is just it costs money to maintain a home. Like oftentimes I walk into a person's living room, and just because they've been living there for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they think their home has gone up in value. And I'm not saying it hasn't. Maybe it has. But they haven't done anything to maintain the home. Like the fences are falling over, the paint's peeling on the outside, there's tons of dry rot, the carpets haven't been cleaned ever, there's holes in the walls. Like, I get it, life happens, but you can't expect your home to be comparable to other homes on the market if you're not maintaining those homes.
Right.
Like, for example, I met somebody recently, she was wanting to sell her house, single mom, wanting to move to a better neighborhood for her kids, totally get it. She bought the house a number of years ago, and now she thinks that it's going to be worth a lot of money. Well, I didn't want to necessarily break it to her, and I'm not a licensed inspector. Like, I don't know exactly how much work this home's going to need. So I said, you know what? Just so we make sure everything's clear and we have a clearly defined budget, I'm going to pay for an inspector to come out and give you an idea on what exactly it is we're looking at. So that way, you're not 3 weeks, a month into this process and surprised and blindsided by a home inspector with a buyer, telling you all these things about your home. And so she's like, okay, yeah, you're going to pay for it? I said, yes, I will pay for it. I want to make sure that you're in the best place. And so Valerie and I paid for it. And the inspector came back with $20,000 in repairs.
Wow.
And this was just the exterior of the home. Like we didn't do a full-blown home inspection where you go inside the house and check the systems inside the home. This is just the exterior of the home. $20,000 in repairs that she didn't know the home was going to need. And so that totally now has thrown a wrench in her plans, but she also hasn't been maintaining. It's $20,000 of deferred maintenance. It's totally avoidable. So if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, well, what should I focus on? What should I be paying attention to as I am living in the home to avoid these costly repairs? Here are some things to consider. You should probably get your roof checked every 1 to 2 years. I get it. It's going to cost you, money to have somebody come out and inspect the roof, but the savings will be much greater than if all of a sudden.
Why do you need to get it inspected every 1 to 2 years?
So it really depends on a number of situations, right? Number of things. But let's say you have trees, and the trees have been dropping leaves or things. Sometimes those fill up the valleys, or the pods get underneath the tiles or underneath the shingles. Well, sometimes those cause problems that you're not even aware of, and so having it, or if the trees are hitting the house, touching the house, that can cause damage. And for example, we just sold a house in Roseville. It was a rental for 20 years. The guy never lived there. He never had any issues until, of course, the tenant moves out and he goes to put the house on the market. Well, turns out the valleys, I'm probably using the wrong term, but the valleys in the roof were filled with a bunch of leaves. They were preventing the flow of water, and so the water backed up underneath the roof, underneath the tiles of the roof, and spilled into the attic and through the sheetrock and into the kitchen. And so I walked in one day, and just all the sheetrock was just hanging down from the ceiling in this guy's. And he had just had the ceiling painted. He just had fresh carpet put in. He just had done a lot of work to the home, but he hadn't inspected the roof. And so now we were able to get our contractor out there, because there was another storm coming, and he didn't want to have more damage caused to the home. We were able to get our contractor out there, and in 3 days he was able to fix it, but it cost him $5,000. Whereas if he would have had a roof inspection done periodically, it would have only been a couple $100. It would have saved him all that headache.
Sure. Okay. So that's one. What else?
So that's an example. So the roof is one thing. The other thing is checking the exterior of the home. Just because you have stucco does not mean your home is impervious to damage. The stucco may not look like it's falling apart or may not have issues, but there might be cracks around the windows. There might be, because as the home heats and cools throughout the seasons, it expands and contracts. And so that stucco expands and contracts. And sometimes around the windows, around the doors, there's issues that arise where now little cracks are there. You may not even see them, or they may not look that important to you, but water's seeping in and causing problems that you can't see. So that's something else to be mindful of. If you have wood siding, make sure that you keep it painted and have the painting done, as needed. Sometimes it's 5 years. If you have a lot of shade, you can go longer. Or if it's not a side of the house that's exposed to a lot of sun, you can go longer. But if you don't do that, all you're doing is you're just delaying the inevitable. You're not saving yourself any money. It's just going to cost you more money in the long run. So I would check the roof. I would check the exterior, and then also with the exterior, typically you can get a pest inspection. Like, do you have termites? Sometimes you don't even know that you have them until you go to sell the house. So maybe you might have termites. You might have some other issues going on there. Periodically, if you have septic systems and well systems, you should check those. Make sure that they're functioning at their full capacity. Now solar, you're going to get those panels cleaned typically once a year. Well, when they come out and clean the panels, are they also performing an inspection? So these are all things that you can kind of do just to maintain this asset, this purchase that you made. So that way, when you go to turn around and sell it down the road, you're not left with a bunch of surprises and a bunch of things you didn't budget for, because Zillow may be telling you your home is worth $670,000, but they're not taking into account that you haven't cleaned the carpets, you haven't fixed the roof, and you have siding issues.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Because sometimes, especially if you've lived in the house for a long time, you get used to those things.
Yeah.
And then when somebody comes in who's never seen the house, they'll notice, oh, well, what's wrong with that? What's up with that? And
decks are a big one. Decks are a big thing. So decks can oftentimes, they look okay, but you get underneath them, there's a lot of dry rot. There's a lot of issues that a potential buyer is going to run into. Decks and pools. So make sure your pools are getting inspected, because sometimes the pool equipment isn't functioning fully, or you might have a leak and you don't even know it. Like, you're a man. It seems like it's always filling up. Well, why is the pool always filling up?
Right.
Instead of avoiding it and burying your head in the sand, reach out to us at madeformorerealty.com, and we can help get you contacted with some great contractors.
Because you don't want, like you said, to have those surprises. You put in all the work, your expectations are high, and then here comes the appraisal, and it's nothing where you thought it would be. And
it's like investing. Let's say you're investing in stocks, right? You're investing in a company. Who is the CEO of that company is going to have a large determinant on where that company is headed. And so you can't really control that, but you can pay attention to that. You are the CEO of your household. You are the one that's determining the value that asset is going to have over time. So make sure that you are running it in a way that, and managing your home in a way that your asset is going to, really appreciate.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is there some way that they can get a hold of these action items, like a list of things that they should be routinely maintaining or checking on a regular basis? Can they reach out to you and get some kind of list of top priority things that they need to be maintaining or checking on a regular basis?
Most definitely. Yeah, just give us a call, 855-935-MORE, or go to madeformorerealty.com and just reach out to us. We'll be happy to get you a list on everything that you should be looking at. Or if you're thinking about selling your house, have us come out sooner rather than later. It's better. I've never heard a seller say, "Hey, you know what? I had you out way too soon. That was a waste of time." I hear all the time sellers telling me, "Man, I wish I would have started this sooner. I wish I would have had the conversation sooner. I wish I would have not fixed that and focused on these other things."
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So just go to madeformorerealty.com.
So we're finding that a lot of folks love this idea where if you're not quite ready to put your home on the market, but you're thinking about it, you're considering it, maybe sometime this year or in the next 12 months, reach out to Johnny Jennings. That's what a lot of people are doing, and his team at Made for More Realty. They come over to your house, you schedule an appointment, and they give your home a once-over. They check the exterior, the roof, the backyard, the decks, the pool, the interior, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the living room, the bedrooms, and they give you an honest report of what they feel your home is worth without repairs, and some ideas, some suggestions of which repairs you might want to consider getting done before you finally decide to put your home on the market. This is a free of charge service. You just reach out to them, schedule an appointment, and they'll take some time to come out to your house and just give you some good information that you're going to find very beneficial, so you're in the know, no surprises when it comes to selling your home. That's what makes them the best in our area, why they were voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years, why they have almost 1,000 5-star Google reviews. That's Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty. All you got to do is Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Man, so the Super Bowl just happened last week, and that was a nail biter.
What a terrible game. I mean, I'm happy for the Eagles. I did not want Patrick Mahomes to have a three-peat. No dynasty today, Mr. Mahomes. He was crying on the sidelines, apologizing to his teammates.
Well, I don't understand. I just don't understand why people don't like. Why not have a three-peat? What's the problem with that?
I don't know. We just want the underdog to win. We don't like the Taylor Swift team. She was booed at the game.
But he's a Christian dude. Like, he's a Christian dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah, absolutely. But so is the other team. Everybody in NFL is Christian. Everybody thanks God at the Grammy Awards.
True.
No,
I hear that.
I respect Patrick Mahomes. He's a great player, but you want to see someone else win. You don't want to see, especially if you're a Niners fan, right? You don't want to see another team have a dynasty or a three-peat. You want that to be reserved for your team.
For your team.
So anyways,
okay, I get if it's your team.
Aside from that, the halftime show was, I don't know, I didn't understand a phrase of that whole halftime show.
Well, yeah.
Kendrick Lamar, I think is his name. Do you like Kendrick Lamar?
No, I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan. I probably couldn't even say.
So you're a Drake fan then?
I'm a Drake fan.
Do you know what that was all about? There was some kind of rap battle war going on.
Dude, I grew up listening to Frank Sinatra.
There you go.
And
See?
the country music.
Do you know that Kendrick Lamar has 22 Grammys? Guess how many Grammys Frank Sinatra has?
I think it's like 3 or 4.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah,
Can you believe that? Beyonce has like 33 Grammys.
Well,
what is
you know
wrong with this place?
That's what's wrong with America. They're just handing out the Grammys to the wrong people. But what stood out to me was the commercials. The commercials were pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't find any of them entertaining or funny or emotionally appealing or impactful at all.
No, the two that kind of irritated me the most was one, the Bud Light one. It's like everybody that's on those Bud Light commercials are just largely like a sellout to me. Are
you talking about the cul-de-sac one with Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning, all those guys, the comedian. Like, I'm like, okay, well, they just went down a notch in my book. Like, I'm not a fan of that. Like, that just
because
just
of the political ideology and what they did with Bud Light.
Yeah. So basically, those guys are all just for hire.
Right.
To me, when I saw that, their reputation is for hire.
All celebrities and
there's a lot of
NFL.
There's a lot of beer companies out there.
It's true.
You can go to Coors.
Maybe they like Bud Light.
Maybe they like Bud Light. But anyways, so that one kind of irritated me. But the one that like I just rolled my eyes at was those freaking Homes.com commercials.
Oh, you didn't like those? I thought they were somewhat amusing.
Somewhat amusing. Homes.com is the best.com.
You got Morgan Freeman.
Now, he was cool.
America's great.
He's cool.
Actor.
Yep, he's cool. But here's the thing about those websites that I don't think most people understand is that oftentimes the data's wrong.
Why would they post incorrect data? Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? It's just because they're so big. They're not. Imagine trying to orchestrate all the pendings and all the actives and everything that's selling and all the home values nationally. It's just not going to be the same as if you're a local company.
Well, according to the commercial, though, Morgan Freeman said repeatedly, I don't know how many times the ad played, probably 4 or 5 times, Homes.com is the best.
Yeah, that's what they said. But here's the other thing, too, that I don't think most consumers realize. So, for example, if you go to get pre-approved for a home loan, as soon as you pull your credit, as soon as you authorize that lender in writing to pull your credit, that information then gets blasted out to all these different lenders. Same thing happens when you're on these websites. Like, you need to really check into their security settings or their privacy settings because they are reselling your information to other people involved in the real estate transaction. And so what these websites are is they're not necessarily there to provide you with information. They're there to sell your information. And so if you're not into that, then just be aware of what it is you're doing when you sign up. And also, so that's honestly one of the reasons why we created our own app. So Made for More has its own app where you can search in privacy. Nobody else is. We're not selling your data. We're not doing any of that. So it's available on the Android and the Apple Store or the App Store. So you just type in Made for More, same as the shirt spelling on the shirt, right? Made, M-A-D-E, number 4, More, M-O-R-E, and you'll see us pop up. You can download it for free and you can start searching locally in privacy. Nobody's going to blow you up or sell your information or try to sell you a security system. But that's one of the things that made me mad. The second thing, and I'm speaking to real estate agents right now, that makes me mad about Homes.com. Maybe I'm wrong. Please call me out if you think I'm wrong about this. But what Homes.com is doing to real estate agents is they're promoting that, hey, if you advertise with your listings are going to get more exposure.
That's not true.
So
they're running commercials during the Super Bowl.
So technically, your listings are going to get more exposure. But what they're doing is they're taking your listing. So you spent money, you spent time, you spent energy getting this listing, and paying for the photos, paying for all that. And now what they're going to do is they're going to take all that hard work, all that money that you put into it, and now they're going to ask for more money. And what they're going to do is they're now going to promote your air quotes your listing on all these different websites. So if you're scrolling through like the news or you're scrolling through other areas of the internet, yeah, technically your house is going to be seen. But if you're looking at LA Times, you're not looking for houses. And what makes me mad about Homes.com is essentially what they're doing is they're using real estate agents' dollars to fund a retargeting campaign. So all they're doing is they're just reaching out to people that may have been on Homes.com or who may have never been on Homes.com, and they're using that to expand their presence. So Homes.com says they may have millions of impressions every month, but their actual website traffic is much lower, and they're just talking about those retargeting campaigns that they're using that's being funded in part by other real estate agents' dollars. And I've talked to people who have paid for, because I was actually looking to do it. Like if it's going to increase the exposure of my clients' homes, then absolutely that's something I want to invest in. But I talked to some top teams, and they're like, yeah, we get a lot of impressions, but we haven't gotten any calls from it.
Oh, really?
We haven't seen any uptick in business from it. And to me, that just means the marketing is just a brand awareness campaign for Homes.com, not for the realtor and certainly not for your home. So that's why I kind of get fired up when I see those Homes.com ads, right? Because it's not doing the consumer any good. It's not doing the agent any good. All that it's doing is promoting Homes.com, because Homes.com stated goal is to take down Zillow. Now, should Zillow get taken down? Should there be more diversity in the marketplace? Absolutely. I'm not saying that Zillow is, a saint, but I think the marketing that Homes.com is using is borderline unethical.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. They've actually been in multiple lawsuits about this, mainly with Realtor.com.
So you also said that when you go on there, let's say I watched the Super Bowl commercial and I went to Homes.com, are you saying the information on there is not accurate?
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not accurate, right? And so I'm not saying it's 100% inaccurate, but it's not as accurate as, let's say, if you were to download the Made for More app, because we're just focused hyper-local on the Sacramento market. And that is, and so our information gets updated. I think it's every 2 minutes, every 3 minutes. So it's really, really quick, and it's private. So again, it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to, I'm not being paid by you downloading the app, but if you want something that's different than Zillow.com, something that's different than Homes.com or Realtor, check out the app.
What do you think about clients that go and they look for homes on their own and they connect with the realtor and say, hey, I saw this one online. Do you prefer that, or do you prefer that clients that you show your clients the homes that you have found and that you think will fit what they're looking for?
So I'm a big advocate of more freedom in the marketplace. So if consumers want to go out there, if our clients want to go out there and look for homes, by all means, look on Zillow, look at Homes.com, send them our way. But again, I'm not trying to really oversell the app, but on the app that we provide our clients at no additional cost, you can instantly heart it. You can instantly forward it to our agents, and they'll say, hey, I want to see this house. I want to see this house. And so it just really streamlines the communication rather than having to share a Zillow link, and then you're sharing a home that technically went pending 3 days ago, but Zillow hasn't updated.
Wow. Okay. So there you go.
So if you want to search it, by all means, go ahead and search on those platforms. But just realize, one, the data may be wrong, and two, your information's getting
So
sold.
are you now boycotting Morgan Freeman movies because he was in the commercial? You're no longer going to watch The Shawshank Redemption or Bruce Almighty?
So I think this is somewhat interesting. So the difference between Morgan Freeman, he was paid to do that. I don't think he necessarily knows all the stuff that's going on with Homes.com, and I wouldn't expect him to know.
No, of course not.
But the
It's
Bud
a
Light
website.
But the Bud Light guys, they knew.
Really?
They all. I mean, who didn't know?
Yeah.
About the Bud Light controversy. I'm not into the news. I'm not into that stuff. I'm into real estate, and I knew about that. And so if you're supporting a company that was actively tearing down things that I believe and supporting things that I don't, then come on, man.
So does that mean you will not watch Peyton Manning or what's the musician guy that was in there?
Oh, the comedian?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. He's super funny. But no, I won't say I won't watch them, but my level of respect for people like that went down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Post Malone. And Shane Gillis.
Oh yeah, Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis is the comedian, super funny guy. And I don't know. I don't know how you can take
Your
money.
respect for them has dropped since they're doing anything for money. Apparently.
Yeah, people got to earn a
but
living.
What if they don't agree
with?
with you though? Maybe
Then
they
that's
don't.
fine.
They don't politically agree with you as far as what Bud Light has done.
That's
Maybe they're
fine.
okay with it.
That's fine. Then I also just disagree with you. Right? I just that whole movement.
So do you base your entertainment consumption on what a performer or what a content creator thinks politically?
I wouldn't say I base it on it. What I do is I first.
Go ahead.
First and foremost is there's this movie, I think Equalizer 3. I really wanted to watch it, and I started watching it, and I was like, man, this is just dark. I don't want to be putting that into my brain.
Sure.
That the stuff that happens in
I
between your
get you.
ears is
Yeah.
huge. And so that's kind of where I look at it first. And then second of all, it's like, would I want my kids to see this? Is this providing any value to my life? Is this providing any value to my kids?
And I think that ties in with who you work with. I would say, and I'm not trying to, boost you or anything, but you want to work with people that align with your character, your morals, and your values.
Yep.
I feel that way.
Yep.
I like working with people that obviously know what they're doing. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to work with somebody who's going to get you the most money for your house and in the fastest amount of time, who has some experience and knows what they're doing. But also, it's a benefit when you're working with someone that you trust them. Character is important. Character is important.
So when I'm meeting with agents, and sellers, home sellers, I always ask them this question. I always ask, hey, what are you looking for in a real estate agent? What's important to you? And sometimes people don't know what to say. Sometimes some people say some really off-the-wall things. But what they consistently say is they want somebody who's honest, that has good communication, and a strong marketing plan. And I know that I'm probably going to resonate with that person when they don't say honesty, when they use the word integrity. Because to me, that's something my dad instilled in us. And so to instill integrity, to use the word integrity is like a little step up. There's a little bit more, to me at least emotionally, around the word integrity versus just your base honesty. Because I would expect everybody to be honest, but I don't necessarily expect everybody to act with integrity. And so you bring up a good point. Who you work with matters, and are they a person of integrity?
Right.
But
and sometimes, how do you know that unless you know the person personally? But you always say, don't always trust that your friend who's a realtor knows what they're doing. But, you can look at Google reviews. You can ask other people who have worked with the person, right?
Yeah.
How are they as a person?
Yeah, and
how are they to work with?
You get a good reading, like if they have a professional presentation. Like, for example, I just was in a person's house doing a listing appointment where was I? In Auburn. Mm-hmm. And I was the third realtor for her that she interviewed. And I was asking her about, like, hey, did the other agents show you this? Did the other agents explain this? And she's like, no. And these are like just base things.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
I would
good.
Expect an agent to know. And then I get through with the marketing plan. And here at the Made for More team is we never let a commission get in between us and working with the client. So we have what we typically charge, but we will also, depending on the situation, price match if we need to in order to earn that person's business if we think we're a good fit for them. And so I had offered to do this for her. And she's like, okay, let me think about it, which typically code to me means I'm never going to hear from you again.
Right.
But she calls me up the next day and she goes, Johnny, I just really enjoyed working, like your presentation and just how you shared everything. I'd like to hire you to sell my house. I said, great. And she's like, oh, and by the way, I want to increase the fee that I'm going to pay you. Because she's like, that you guys are worth way more. If you guys are providing even half of what you shared with me, you're worth way more than what the other agents were charging. So
what a great recommendation.
Yeah,
there you go.
So when it's not too often that you get in the living room and somebody's willing to give you a pay raise.
Right.
So if you want to have us in your living room, if you want to learn about how we operate with integrity and how we can help get your home sold faster and for more money, just go to madeformorerealty.com.